If you've paid attention to politics the last few years, you'll notice a pattern, a constant even. As soon as you're no longer politically useful, you get shoved out of the car. Christine Blasey Ford, get out. You'll have to see if Garth needs a stunt double or something. Robert Mueller, hey, you tried, but you failed, so enjoy your pudding and your Judge Judy reruns, and we'll see you never. Alexander Vindman, I already forgot who you even are or what you even did. Thanks for your military service or whatever it was. I'm sure there's a Boy Scout troop somewhere you can command. That's how this always goes. The political moment is dramatized to its maximum possible theatrical value. These people are built up into demigods until the exact moment they're no longer politically useful, and then it's the swift and unkind shove out the door. Make sure to roll when you hit the ground, or don't, because we don't really care. And that is exactly what it looks like happened with National Guard troops deployed to the Capitol for the last few weeks. They were the hero guardians of our democracy, as they insist on inaccurately calling it, the brave line between law and order and terrorist insurrection, right up until the clock strikes 1 minute after Joe Biden's oath, and then the show's over, folks. So get the hell out of here and do it yesterday. The story broke on Thursday night. National Guard troops had, of course, been deployed to the Capitol for the 2 weeks since the Capitol raid on January 6th. Troops on duty were taking breaks and naps throughout the Capitol halls, as we've seen in so many photos, until suddenly, and without explanation on Thursday, thousands of troops were ordered to leave the Capitol and enjoy, or rather suffer, their breaks in a nearby parking garage with one bathroom with 2 stalls, one electrical outlet, 40-degree temperatures, and an open and spacious concrete floor for resting. The luckier ones got the upgrade of a garage pillar for a backrest. All of this was reportedly at the order of the Capitol Police, though that claim is disputed by the chief himself, so who exactly gave this order and why is still unexplained. Though as a practical matter, the controversy may already be over. Outrage from the public and politicians was swift, with many members of Congress offering their offices. Trump is opening the D.C. Trump Hotel for their needs. The troops were let back into the Capitol late Thursday night, and several governors are now just calling off the show and bringing their guard units home immediately. There are some reports about why this order was given, though unconfirmed, but if true, an actual shove out of an actual car may have been more reasonable treatment. The original Politico story makes reference to a possible mask complaint, but doesn't explain. Subsequent reporting adds more potential detail. According to a source speaking with Breitbart, Democratic Congressman Bill Keating reported to the Capitol Police earlier in the day that a National Guardsman was seen in a Dunkin' Donuts without a mask on. Reportedly, Keating confronted this maskless soldier and told him masks are required, and the soldier responded, quote, "I appreciate my freedom." Now, if that report is accurate, it totally exposes the show we're all witnessing. If you're more afraid of a maskless person than you are of the supposed terrorist insurrection from which that person is protecting you, you were never actually afraid of that attack anyway. It was all just a ruse. And it's not as though this parking garage incident is the only indicator of showmanship, the use of the guard as theatrical props. Consider the other events of the last few weeks. Congressman Keating, the guy who allegedly reported the mask violation and started this whole ordeal, was one of many taking photo ops with the troops before promptly throwing them under the bus. Nancy Pelosi made a big show of it last week too. These National Guard troops at the Capitol are heroes. But the police force that responded last summer to a destructive attack on federal property in Portland, those guys were stormtroopers. If you serve in uniform, Nancy only respects your service to her politics, not your service to the law. That makes police and military a prop piece, not law enforcement. And cynically, it would appear that service to her politics was the entire reason for this massive guard presence anyway. Yes, the Capitol raid happened. Yes, elevated security is a sensible response. But did it warrant the total shutdown of the Capitol? Did it warrant the total shutdown of the hundreds of acres of the National Mall? Did it warrant the total revocation of your First Amendment rights to be there and to protest or to support the new president? Because for all the talk of the threats ahead of the inauguration, there were no arrests for those threats, raising questions about how credible those threats were, if they even existed at all. And no specific threats against the incoming president were ever described or even claimed. You don't have to compromise intelligence secrets to give us at least some idea of why our inauguration has been transformed into a third world military installation of a president. And if you can't, I'm left to assume that you did it for the same reason they do it in those countries. for the show. And note how the National Guard has been treated as both a show of force and a point of victimization. And not just anti-mask victimization either, but potential violent attackers. Congressman Steve Cohen said that conservative white male guardsmen are a suspicious threat to be monitored.
The Guard is 90-some-odd%, I believe, male. Only about 20% of white males voted for Biden. They're probably not more than 25% of the people that are there protecting us who voted for Biden. The other 75% are in the class that would be the large class of folks who might want to do something.
And that was the premise to vet the National Guard members in D.C., not just for criminality, but for ideology. The FBI combed through thousands of them and found just 12 to give the boot, again for ambiguous, unexplained reasons like extremist social media posts and text messages. When the Guard is both a show of force to your opposition and a scary threat that victimizes you, that is not anything coherent. That is a show. And the scramble is on to explain this botchery. You'll notice some recurring themes if you browse the replies in the comment sections. Oh, well, don't forget the troops were only there in the first place because Republicans incited the attack on the Capitol. Well, first of all, no, they didn't. Show me even one Republican politician who called for the attack or who hasn't disavowed it into infinity and beyond since. But even if they did, does that justify the poor and disrespectful treatment of our military? Consider another circumstance. Let's say it was a foreign attack on the Capitol that led to this troop deployment. In that case, would we say, oh, well, it's Al-Qaeda's fault that the troops got booted to the parking garage? What can you do? Well, you can treat them better. That's what you can do. The reason for the deployment doesn't justify poor treatment in the process. Oh, come on, bro. They're trained for war. I think they'll be okay with this little inconvenience. Yeah, they're trained to be shot at and to treat injuries too. Does that make it okay if I shoot them? Training for bad times doesn't make it okay for us to impose bad times on them. News coverage notes this parking garage setup wasn't a sleeping arrangement per se. Guardsmen do have hotel rooms. This garage space was for breaks while on duty. And a Guard spokesman in the Politico story says Congress is in session now and increased foot traffic and business is being conducted. That's why the troops were ordered to leave, to get out of the way. Well, if the threat is so great to necessitate their presence, why is a minor inconvenience enough to give them the boot? And even if it is inconvenient, why is it unreasonable to ask everyone to share that inconvenience instead of just sweeping away the peasantry from the Congressional Ivory Tower? Who cares about this story we'll hear? It's all just optics. Those were just guardsmen on break. In the end, it'll just be a minor inconvenience because they all went back to the Capitol or they're all going home anyway. All those pictures you see, that's all just symbolism. Yeah, that's the problem. It's been symbolic this whole time. And we love the symbols when they serve our politics, but we minimize the symbols when they don't. And that has nothing to do with security. That has nothing to do with law or law enforcement. That has only to do with serving the ideology. So if there's nothing to see here with this parking garage scandal, there hasn't been much to see here this entire time. Thanks as always for listening and for supporting this channel. Always appreciate that thoughtful discussion down below and especially over on Gab, that is at ML Christiansen. You're always welcome to coming out and chat in my live streams. Those are linked down in the description. Looking forward to it. Goodbye.